old devil come to him to field one day, slaying one of your family. I'm gonna take away, saying fire, diddle-I, diddle-I, fire, diddle-I, diddle-I day.
All right, so it's, I don't know, like an hour's trek or something down to the Stationmobile.
Back now.
Oh, cool, cool.
So just a mild fruit-related avalanche.
I won't ask. So,
Sorry.
okay, so you make your way back to the Stationmobile. It has not been disturbed, so I assume that you board it. And whereabouts in the graveyard are you going to head?
Well, should try not to toss over any of those other gravestones.
Well, they're basically kind of filling an area, aren't they? They're kind of just sort of scattered over a wide area.
What is our plan just before we get there? Are we I didn't see any entrances. Are we planning on digging into the graves?
Well, I mean, they're just kind of... It's not like it was made out of graves, it was made out of gravestones, wasn't it? So these gravestones, which look slightly freaking weird.
Yeah, just to be clear, we've been calling them gravestones, but it's not necessarily clear what that's what they are. This whole area was just called the repository by the guy in the temple.
Yeah.
And
Some sort of markers for something buried, but not
yeah, that's a good
body.
Or
Remind me
pieces
of
of
anything-
Numenera themselves. Well, they almost certainly are, but
Yeah, everything's Numenera these days.
you can sort of crack them open and see what's inside.
I'm just wondering. I'm
Some
looking at
rats.
that image. If this image is accurate, they could actually, the gravestones could also be the graves of the repositories. They might might not be markings. It might just be them.
So they
Or
look like
like
skulls
you could
attached to
open
them.
and
I was wondering if it's just very flat coffins or something. I don't know. I didn't think this.
The way this race bury their dead is they press them in a
Well-
steam press.
It's convenient. You don't have to bury the whole body.
Except
it's safe to say that when you were racing through this area under the attack from the giant beastie, you didn't get to really have too close of a look at exactly what they were. So there's as you venture out of the jungle and into the kind of open area of desert, you can see just kind of shimmering like a mirage on the horizon the little black dots and stuff that signify the very large, extensive field of gravestones or whatever they are. There's no immediate signs of the Ordwolf.
Was there actually a way around the gravestones, by the way?
Yes.
So if I was less impatient, we probably wouldn't be in this predicament. But
Yes.
that might have taken a few extra hours and delayed my mission.
Exactly.
Okay, yep, I feel completely justified still.
So I guess I'm just wondering, whereabouts do you want to approach it from? Like, this would be the closest, but
Was there any particular... Oh, if we go to the place where we tore up, drove through them, we might see potentially some things what was underground or see what's inside the gravestones without breaking them up, maybe?
all right. So the kind of
guessing
path
it was
that
about-
you and also the Ordwolf who was chasing you is like here. Oh, sorry. Is
Around
like
this
here.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if we drive
okay.
into the midst of it, might be a good idea. Yeah.
As long as we can get out. How churned up was the ground? Sorry.
Very. All of the footprints of the giant Ordwolf tore up great kind of craters in the ground. You felt like you were driving through an earthquake. So although the terrain in general is flat, it is marked by great craters and things, and also just the debris and soil and stuff that was thrown up from those.
Does it look like Stationmobile? Would you be able to go across it no problem?
Yeah, there's like, this is a broad area, and there's definitely enough space to just kind of drive around them, or you could even drive through the craters if you needed to. It's a pretty, hardy vehicle.
Okay.
All right, so you stopping kind of on the edge? Are you driving into the down into here, or what?
maybe stop on the edge first and get a look at, a look at if there is anything,
Yeah.
anything interesting to head towards.
If we drive straight into the middle, we might wake it up again.
Yeah. If I could stay on the outside, just keeping watch.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the Stationmobile grinds to a halt on the kind of the north side, the outside of the graveyard, and you disembark. The light, well, now that you're out of the jungle, it's actually lighter, but you can tell that the sun is starting to set in the west. And you can vaguely see the square outline of the moon rising across the opposite horizon. The desert around you in general is kind of very flat and empty, and it has a very desolate but also very exposed kind of feel to it. There's a light wind kind of sweeping blooms of kind of dust in a layer across the ground, and that is how you find yourselves as you exit the vehicle. Ahead of you is the great field of kind of small monolith gravestones, whatever they might be.
Right. Is there like an upright gravestone or a knockdown gravestone nearby that I could sort of?
Yeah, sure. Hold on, let me just grab your icons.
Yeah, I'd like to scan a gravestone just to see what it's made of.
Yeah, sure. So just bear in mind in fact, I'll shrink it a bit. Like the APC or Stationmobile here is kind of not to scale. If you use the ruler, you can get the proper scale. Yes, you go up to one of these things and scan it and generally investigate it and so forth. What you find is it's basically it's kind of like a coffin. So rather than a gravestone or a marker, it's actually itself at least this one, because looking across the field you can see that a lot of these are kind of very different from each other. But this one is basically like a coffin or something that actually has a withered and very weathered and decomposed and yet surprisingly kind of well preserved face sticking out of the front. So basically, it's unclear whether they were pressed, as you described it earlier, but certainly, basically, this coffin is so shallow that it was designed for the person's face to, emerge from out of it, and they are. It's kind of difficult to tell because because it's so weathered, the skin is actually kind of dark greenish, and the features are extremely kind of sunken and exaggerated, but it's not impossible that this used to be a human or something like it.
Okay. So the actual, the backboard thing, is that organic matter or?
No. So the the board, the coffin, whatever it is seems to be basically made out of some kind of metal, and the scribed into the kind of metal around and above and below where the face emerges is a bunch of writing. Let's see. I guess give me a. Well, I guess actually no. Probably Fan would be best to give me a roll to interpret this language, or at least to think that you can interpret it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Fine, where I've dropped my character sheet.
So I think this is going to be.
Hold on.
I think this is going to be difficulty 3 because you're able to get some clues from the conversations that you had with the other aliens before.
Okay.
You've still got
good for communication
pieces near the ear.
Yeah, I'll probably drop them while I'm looking at this, but I'll get back to rustly bits later. Trained, point of effort, intellect roll.
Cool. So you basically, you're not able to decipher it entirely, but you are able to pick up some, some aspects or some strains of the meaning. It's basically a cross between a kind of epitaph and almost a biohazard warning, and also like a condemnation, like a list of kind of crimes. You're unable to tell exactly what they are, but they sound serious, something about causing major destruction and death and things. Yeah, I guess that's basically what you're able to pick up from that. As you have a look around at some of the other nearby gravestones, some of them are like similar to this, like they're basically coffins where, actually not all of them have somebody's face sticking out. Some of them do seem to contain corpses and have similar inscriptions to the one you just looked at. Some of them are larger and seem like, well, just storage for something bigger. It's hard to tell what exactly is in there. They have a kind of sarcophagus-like look to them in general, all of
Can
these
I have a
gravestones.
little scan of what's inside?
No, you're not able to sense what is inside. The metal that it is built of seems to have the effect of very heavily shielding any kind of detection from within.
Can I peek inside it?
I believe you can, yes. Yeah, let's see. You're able to phase through it as usual. I guess I wonder, like, so do you have any kind of night vision or anything like that?
No, just the scannies, Terry.
All right, so you poke your head inside, and it's completely dark.
But is it? But it's hollow.
Yes, let's see. There is some space in there.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll phase all the way through.
All right, you find yourself. Let's see. So it's completely dark and also completely silent. You find it's a very cluttered space. You have a feel around. You're able to find, well, basically one body, although it is, how to describe it? It's basically tied up into almost like a ball, as in all the limbs have been, brought up against the kind of shoulders and all tied together rather crudely. And this body seems rather like it's very dry and warm out here, so things tend to preserve pretty well, and it is somewhat mummified, this body. Again, it seems like it was probably human. But besides that, you also find basically a whole bunch of just kind of items, and some of them seem to be weapons, and some of them seem to be things like containers of various liquids and stuff. So what you find includes...
See you goggles. They sound useful.
Photonic smasher.
You
I just love the
also...
name.
Let's see.
Oh, can I look these up or not?
Yep, you can look those up. However, you also find that, well, I wonder. I'm not quite sure how to bring this up without spoiling something mechanical. Okay, let's put it this way. You have a sensation while you are in the sarcophagus type thing of a kind of prickling and a kind of rolling, kind of pins and needles-ish kind of numbness that shivers across your body now and then.
Okay.
Was there an inscription similar to was in the first one on this gravestone that he went to?
Oh, sorry. Did I not? I would have relayed that to everybody else. Sorry, what I've read about the rap sheets.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm just wondering, is this on every grave, or are they all like criminals?
So let's assume that Fed is just able to go over and like basically at least loosely translate the inscriptions on the ones he sees. Basically, all of these do indeed have inscriptions of various sorts, but actually it seems like they weren't all put on in the same way, and presumably not by the same people, because some of them are kind of carefully, it looks like hand engraved into the things. Some of them look like they're kind of metal stamped. Or branded into it. Some of them it looks like they were painted on, and in a lot of cases the paint and stuff is kind of eroded. There's all kinds of different styles of presentation and even languages as well. But you're still able to kind of get the gist of things. And when you walk up and read the one that Minim is currently inside, it talks about, again, there's a lot of like condemned, forbidden, do not tamper with, etc. There's something, let's see. All right, so there's a large symbol on it, which is a circle with 3 black triangles pointing towards the center. But you have never seen this symbol before, so you don't know what it means.
A symbol with what, sorry?
It's a large yellow circle with 3 black triangles pointing towards the center and a dot in the middle.
Ah. Lovely.
But,
okay.
yeah, as I say, Fayan has never seen that symbol before, so he doesn't know what it means.
So
It does look like some kind of warning.
The sensation that I'm feeling inside the sarcophagus, if that is radiation, would I not recognize that from crawling around inside the nuclear reactors on Mother Mountain? Or is it not radiation?
Okay, I guess I'll just go ahead and say yes, it is radiation. I mean, I think it's like...
Well, I'm freaking adapting to that then.
Yeah. I mean, unless you say otherwise, I don't think you would inherently know what radiation is, or, be able to sense that the thing you're feeling is... I mean, you might well feel that it's a similar sensation to what you felt in Mother Mountain, and you figured that was pretty dangerous at the time. I think he wouldn't specifically know, that it was radiation per se,
sure,
or necessarily what that is, or that it, like the thing is, you wouldn't necessarily know what the risk of radiation is, in the sense that it might have a lasting long-term effect, because the immediate sensation is pretty mild, so you might not realize the danger of it.
Minim probably doesn't need to worry too much about...
Rather than having it as a decision, let's have you roll to see if you understand that it's dangerous to be in there.
Okay, because... yeah, sure.
Yeah, so let's say that is a... let's say that's like basically a Numenera check, difficulty 3.
Okie dokes. I can bring that to 0.
Oh, okay. In that case, yes, you would know that this is a bad kind of invisible light that you are currently being bathed in.
But in that case, I'd like to use my adaptation, Esotery, to be able to survive in it.
Nice. So just briefly describe how that works.
Where is it? You adapt to a hostile environment for 28 hours. As a result, you can breathe safely. The temperature doesn't kill you. That might be extremely uncomfortable or debilitating. Crushing gravity doesn't incapacitate you, and so on.
Oh, nice.
Crushing gravity? That's...
Yeah,
wow.
in extreme environments, the GM may increase the cost of activating this Esotery to a maximum cost of 10. Basically, it's 2+, and it's up to 10, and generally it's dependent on how much damage you would sustain in a round.
All right. So I think because...
as a rough guide.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put the cost of that at 3.
Sure. Yeah, it's done.
Cool. Okay, so you are immune to radiation now, so no worries. Apart from the fact that you're trapped in a dark box with a mummified corpse and a bunch of ancient radioactive weapons.
I'm just gonna dump the CU goggles and the photonic smasher outside. I'm just gonna kind of pop them out of the wall. So the sarcophagus is just kind of farting out Numenera. I'm also going to drop out something I've been holding on to but can't really find a use for, which is my hanging cocoon, and I'm going to take the jolter because that looks pretty freaking fun.
Cool. So what does the jolter do?
The jolter, and by the way, the other things are on the ground, so if anyone wants those, as well as the hanging cocoon, the jolter. I think it's basically like a harness that you wear, and it's got like. It's basically a flamethrower but for electricity, and once you turn it on, you can't turn it off for 4 rounds, and it's really hard to aim. So it's,
I like it.
That sounds cool.
Every attack you make with it, the difficulty is increased by 1 step, so that you actually hit what you're aiming for, and also if you roll not just a 1 but also a 2, you accidentally hit someone else.
Nice. All right. I look forward to that being used. And in the meantime, okay, so you've managed to extract some valuable, if in fact those items are themselves radioactive. You're immune to it. You can certainly carry the Jolter. I would say that, yeah, like basically the items that you've just dumped out on the ground. I'm thinking, like this may be a bit mean. I guess this is basically GM intrusion time.
Okay.
I'm going to say that although you're immune to the radiation, you yourself have been irradiated, as have the items that you've just dropped outside.
Oh,
Would
right,
we
yeah, of course.
necessarily notice this?
No.
Okay.
Crikey, it's level 7 as well.
What's that 7 actually mean? Sorry, I missed what the number was for.
It's just going to be quite difficult to use.
Yeah, well, that's the level of the cipher.
Okay. I didn't see the roll. I just saw a 7 pop up.
Oh,
So
it also deals quite a lot. Yeah, if you put it in 2 square brackets, so it's like 2 left square brackets.
Oh right, I
then
see.
you're rolling in 2 right square brackets. It does that for you.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, the cipher level makes it do more damage, so that's nice.
Nice. Cool. And just bear in mind, apart from the lowering the level thing, basically if you have a cipher or whatever with you for a while, and basically Hyoyeon has access to it, then I will generally translate that to you being able to use it more easily without reducing the level.
Sure.
But yeah, just something to bear in mind. Cool. Okay, so far you found one apparently. Well, 2 corpses and some condemned items in these things.
Well, while Minim's doing that, I'm going to do something which will probably be a lot less advisable.
Yep.
But I'm going to be walking around. I never said it. I'm going to be trying to listen to Russell's pieces just to see if I can make out anything through prolonged exposure. And I'm going to wander around and see if any of the gravestones we sent flying earlier have cracked open so I can take a peek inside of them.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, so first of all, you're certainly able to find many of the gravestones, let's call them, that were smashed and thrown aside and destroyed either by your vehicle or by the Ordwolf during the chase through the graveyard. So you are some of them are just straight up smashed and destroyed. And their contents also are, including some bodies. Some of them are simply cracked and look like you could probably work them open. In the meantime, in fact, so you don't notice this at first, but when you take out the rustle bits and hold them up to your ear, you're actually, now that you're within the graveyard, pardon me, you're basically the timbre and the tone of the sound of the sounds and voices that you're hearing changes dramatically as it becomes much more tortured and anguished. And in fact, it's a much bigger sound, and it seems to be made of a much larger chorus of voices.
Guys?
But you, in fact, okay, give me a intellect check Level 4. Numenera would count for this.
Okay.
Anything else that you think might apply?
Numenera is the only skill. I don't think I can stack skills, can I?
No, you have to
Okay.
just choose one.
So, Numenera, level 4, intellect, F1 effort. Yeah, I'll do that then. Let's see how it goes.
Nice. All right, so you're able to discern.
Oh, sorry, did you say level 4? Because that was... set that to level 3.
Whatever, I'm going to call that a success.
You sure? Okay. Phew.
So you're able to discern that this isn't the sound of Russell themselves and their locale. This is a kind of signal, as it were, an echo or something like that, that is being picked up from the area that you are in.
Okay, if I step close, is there one of the gravestones that's a bit more isolated, perhaps because it's been thrown aside or something?
Yeah, sure.
If I approach that one closely and lean my face right in, do I hear it more vividly?
Interesting. Yeah. So basically, as you approach the rather large and imposing gravestone, which seems to have symbols of skulls alongside the usual diagrams and writings and stuff and warnings, and you're holding the rustle pieces up to your ear. The signal that is picked up by it does become much stronger and louder, and also clearer and more audible. And as you approach that gravestone in particular, it becomes more isolated and easy to pick out as well. And what you hear is, I mean, basically lamentation would be the best way to sum it up. But it's coming from many different voices, and besides a general background kind of roar of like chaos and, I don't know, general distress, you're able to pick out some individual voices and words, and a lot of them seem to be kind of related to sin and transgression and punishment and undoing and judgment and woe and pity and gnashing of teeth.
Are
It's
these
the
sad
general theme.
voices,
Got me.
angry voices? I mean, you say they talk about sin and judgment. Is it somebody...
Anguished and
sound-
wailing voices.
So it sounds like somebody who's
Dark shit.
sinned and being judged, as opposed to somebody who's condemning them for sin.
It's difficult to pick out any one perspective as such.
What
Just the-
sort of sins are we talking? Can I make that out?
Yeah, you catch references to the spilling of lakes of blood, the destruction of planets, the and something about
Fans.
armies. There's kind of references to raising armies and traveling armies, roaming armies, clashing armies, etc.
Sounds like this is like a prison that's closer to hell.
I will put my face right up to it. I mean, assuming there's a face on this one, is there?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I put my face right up to it and looking very closely for any movement. I will say, "Can you hear me?"
So, all right. Let's put it this way. The face doesn't immediately make any movement or any sign of reaction or any sign of anything other than having been long dead. However, as you make this very intimate question to it,
Maybe put a hand up to its face.
the sound, both the general kind of rather spooky wailing kind of background roar, and the specific voices as well and what they're saying, they actually start to become physically audible to the others in the group as well, as they start to emit from basically all of the gravestones in the area. Each one has a different set of voices. Some of them are more like forlorn and quiet and kind of begging and stuff like that. Some of them are kind of screaming in anguish or pain or anger or rage, things like that. So a great unsettling murmuration of voices, tormented voices, is rising up around you.
Shall we leave?
But we can't leave them in this sort of state.
Well,
I mean,
did you? You didn't hear what I was hearing. I mean, this is a prison. These guys have done some bad things.
well,
Talking about creating lakes of blood, destroying planets, and I don't know.
I
other
almost feel like
bad stuff. Bad stuff.
I kind of feel like no matter what they did, it doesn't deserve like them being the punishment is like way too much for the crime.
Is there anything underground?
Do you
If I
really
scan
want
like
to-
directly down into the ground, is there anything underneath?
Um,
Is it just
what-
earth?
no, so you certainly detect that the ground beneath here, I mean, this is kind of common in a lot of places, but there is usually like a lot of strata of ancient stuff, not necessarily even geologically ancient, but just...
By the way, scan only goes out to 50 feet, so if that makes any
Yeah,
difference.
that's fine. But basically, you do indeed find that the surface, below a few meters at least, is basically... it's been excavated a lot, I guess, is what it comes down to, and you kind of see patterns that you've seen before on old battlefields, craters that have been built in and trenches and things like that. You also see a great number of more like gravestones or sarcophaguses that are buried and not in a kind of regular fashion. They're basically just at any angle, any orientation.
Oh, so this graveyard is just the tip of the iceberg.
Pretty much as far down as you can. I mean, it's not like literally just solid gravestones, but there's a great number of them buried here, and it kind of seems like they were just tossed like from a bulldozer into a giant pit and then just kind of covered over. Whereas the ones that are up on the surface apparently were, placed upright. Some of them have fallen over or been disturbed, but generally they seem to have been kind of planted, as it were.
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to this fairly freaky China Mayville short story I read. I'll talk about that later though, but yeah, it's a little bit freaky. Yeah, I think we I mean, are the physical faces aren't moving, are they? You said it was just
Yeah, I'm going to say no. They're basically
Okay.
almost petrified.
Okay.
But you are very much sensing, especially now that they're, audibly making these noises. You are very much sensing, some kind of sentience behind this these sounds that you're hearing.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to guess the everyone say, shall we go away for a bit and have a bit of a talk about this?
Okay. My instinct is we've got to do something for these guys.
Well, yeah. Do you want to discuss that here while they're here and screaming at us, or
We could take
shall
one.
we step away a bit? What?
I mean,
No.
we've already had
they-
lots of pets before.
Yes, I know, but not many of them scream. You didn't hear the things they said to me.
Speaking
They were
of
not.
speaking of which, Minim, how's your little spider pet doing?
Oh no! The radiation.
I don't know. Maybe he's experiencing cellular decay at this point. I haven't really done much with him. I keep feeding him occasionally. He's eaten Kyoyan's arm now.
Yeah, that's true.
What? Sorry, what? Eating Hoyan's arm.
Well, they lost it in the Mother Mountain crash, and I took it, and I've just kind of been feeding Junior.
Okay.
I'd say, pardon me. I would say that given that you've been feeding him quite substantially, and he was very small before, he'll certainly have grown. He could have grown to the size of like a sack of potatoes, or he could be smaller than that if you prefer.
Could he still?
Have you been? I guess I'd ask. Have you been kind of actively caring for / about him?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He's kind of Minim's new toy.
Right.
But how big did they get in the cage? How big were those?
They're pretty
They were at least. Yeah.
Are they
they were,
like the sack of potatoes type thing, or were they bigger than that?
I think they were even bigger than. Yeah, they were
Okay.
bigger than that. They were like at least the big ones are at least like bigger than dog size. Even they were like giant spiders, basically.
Okay. Well, given that those sorts of things tend to grow quite quickly, I'd say it's probably about football size by now. So it just kind of perches on my shoulder.
Yeah, nice.
giant spiders for life.
All right. So before going any further, are you guys going to kind of retreat to the station mobile and or drive it somewhere else, or
I
are
would.
you...
I would like to retreat to the point where we can't hear them screaming in our ears.
Okay.
I
can dig
don't
this.
know if everybody else wants to do that. I'm not saying we run away and leave them forever now. We just
Yeah.
maybe go
Well,
talk
let's
about somewhere a bit
discuss.
less
Yeah,
distracting.
if you draw back to the station mobile, at least the immediate sounds of the voices and stuff are not nearly so apparent, although you can now hear a kind of generalized low kind of moaning noise on the back of the wind as it blasts across this desert.
Is it still the same sort of thing if I lift up the flowers to my ears, or?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, so you'll have been able to tell that the flowers and things were just amplifying this sound basically as you got closer. And sure enough, as you're still within range of that. So if you listen to the flowers at the moment, it just amplifies the sound of this anguish.
Yeah. So guys, this isn't a graveyard. This is a prison, and these guys have done bad things. I don't know about you guys. They still seem to be alive, even though they look kind of what you see. So if we rescue them, that's not going to end well for anyone around here. I mean, we were talking earlier. You were saying earlier you didn't want to just leave this giant Ord wolf to destroy this temple and the surrounding area. It could crack a mountain too. Yeah. These guys would probably ravage your planet.
Okay, so what if I pull the face off the grave?
I don't know.
It wrenches off the front of the skull, revealing the decayed interior.
Nice.
Of the space or the coffin?
Well, of the head of the body that is inside the coffin.
Okay. Does
okay.
one of the screaming voices stop?
Let's see. No, there's actually no change to the voices when you do that.
Okay. Is there a brain in there?
Sure. I mean, it's as I say, decayed and kind of mummified and stuff, but it does appear that it was still seems like it was probably a human.
Okay.
So sorry, on you go.
No, after you.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just going to make a broader point about what I don't want to leave these guys in such a situation. Again, that's monstrous. This is like the worst thing I've ever heard of.
Okay.
Also responsible.
What's the worst crime you can ever imagine someone doing? And what would you say would be an appropriate punishment for that?
Not being like tortured forever.
What if Minim just pulled the face off one, and as far as I can tell, he didn't die. What if these things can't die? I mean, this Ordwolf thing didn't die. It went away to somewhere to feed off the guilt and regenerate.
Yeah.
What if this radiation isn't to, punish them, it's to stop them from coming back to life and killing everything? What if this prison isn't just to punish them, but basically to stop the more transgressions from happening?
Contain them.
Yeah, contain them. That's the word.
Yeah.
I
don't like it.
I don't like it either. I mean, but it's. I mean, well, we saw what happened with the Ordwolf. Do you really want to risk this area and eventually this planet if these things were to get free and turn out to be that bad?
All of a sudden,
sounds like they're just.
All of a sudden, there is a sudden cracking thud, and one of the sarcophaguses that was kind of very deeply buried in the ground, with just kind of a corner of it emerging, suddenly kind of basically thunks up out of the ground, and just stands there in a cloud of dust swirling around it. And you noticed before that in addition to the sound that was coming from these grave stones and stuff, they're kind of glowing somewhat as well. In particular, the markings and engravings are lighting up with some kind of light. And so this thing thrusts itself up out of the ground and starts to glow somewhat and judder. That is quickly followed by many of the other sarcophaguses and gravestones. None of them go like shooting up out of the air or whatever, but they just seem to suddenly, some of them kind of roughly in your area of the graveyard just start to kind of move somewhat. Like sometimes they'll just thunk down into the ground a bit or fall over, and show general signs of activity.
Have the voices changed at all? Again, flowers to the ears just to amplify things.
Yeah, they. Let's see. Yeah, so they have. They've grown more intense and more numerous, and there's still a great, just overall lamentation about their sins and their guilt and their torment and all that kind of thing. But there are a few other voices, keener and louder, that are murmuring things about a key and a door and freedom are the things that you pick up most suspiciously.
Okay, I'll pass this on to the other guys. Say, flowers are telling me. Yeah, I'll mention these flowers seem to be crazy. It sounds. I'll pass one if I need to, as long as I get it back. Seem to be kind of amplifying the voices around us.
Actually, only you can hear it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll still say that. Hey guys, these flowers to your ears, they amplify the voice of the dead. And of these.
Ryan's been talking to flowers again.
No. Been listening to flowers. We all were talking to the flower dude. Yeah, but where do you think these things came from? That guy's got some fancy properties about him. Very fancy properties. But yeah, like you hear some of them talking here and lamenting their sins and whatnot and all these horrible things they've done. But a few of them are talking about freedom and the keys to a door. And
so how do we get the key?
I don't know. I mean, I'll go to one of the coffins that seems to be moving and see if I can try and pick up anything more specific. I'm hoping that's one of the voices who are.
Sure.
One of the things is, what exactly is trapped? I mean, is it like their consciousness? Is it some sort of like soul thing?
Well, the body's inside these things, so it could be everything.
I mean, would releasing them bring them back to life, I suppose?
Do we want to do that?
What about if we just go to town on them and see if we can blow them up? I mean, we have a tank.
Wait, we destroyed one of the coffins, didn't we? Why don't we take a look at that?
Yeah, I mean, several of them have been like, not necessarily completely obliterated, but just kind of broken apart by the, fight that basically went through here before. So these things certainly don't seem to be indestructible. But bear in mind, this is this isn't just like a graveyard or something. This is many kilometers, many square kilometers make up this kind of repository site.
Is it worth? Well,
the ones that have popped up and are glowing, are they doing anything else now, or are they just kind of?
Yeah. So so when Phaon goes over to the nearest one to see if he can pick up the signal more clearly, let's see. I don't have a specific dialogue, but it basically makes an avaricious scream, and the sarcophagus kind of lurches up and starts to fall towards you, Phaon. But at the same time, it basically it kind of separates into at least two parts. So if you imagine a coffin, it's kind of like the lid slides off. But it's not a case of it does open the sarcophagus and a bunch of items fall out. There's two more bodies. These ones are in fact burnt and crisped, but there's also there's an indistinct shape wrapped up in a very faded and decayed but very rich-looking carpet, and there is a great sheaf of scrolls that have a lot of scripture written on them, and they fall out over the ground. But that's just a side effect of the fact that basically this...
It's going to eat me, isn't it?
This halfway opened column is now forming, I guess you might say, a bit like a pair of legs. And then a couple of other coffins kind of drag themselves up over the earth and kind of flop onto it. and seem to get kind of stuck to it magnetically. They don't immediately form up into like a humanoid shape, but it just becomes like a conglomeration of these kind of attached slabs, basically.
How long is this taking to happen?
This is happening within like not long, like 10 seconds. So you're going to have to, like it doesn't. There's nothing that immediately attacks you, but this thing seems to be more of a threat now. So you have a chance to react to that.
Is this? I mean, is this going to be part of the same thing that created the Ordwolf?
Well, the Old Wolf, if you looked at it, was built out of coffins, isn't it?
Is this
Yeah,
like
it does.
Creature, or is it the same
There does
creature
seem a
from
similarity in the way this thing is forming with the way that the Ordwolf kind of smashed its way up out to the ground and kind of pulled all of these gravestones and stuff together around it.
This could actually just be the Old Wolf. Yes, if it's the same creature. Ah, dear.
It's just freaking weird dog face. It's so weird.
It's so weird, and I love every bit of it. Okay, how far away are these scrolls? Should I snatch one without risking being distant or stepped on?
Let's see. I mean, so this thing, like, it isn't, it hasn't fully come together into any particular shape, and it doesn't, as yet at least at this scale, seem to immediately resemble the Ordwolf or anything. But it's clear that these sarcophagi and tombs are kind of coming together and being manipulated and moving together in a way that you could kind of think of it as being like a creature. And in that analogy, it's kind of still being born, as it were. It's pulling more and more slabs and stuff towards itself, and it's kind of awkwardly stumbling about on the sand. So yeah, you can try and duck in and try and retrieve one of the scrolls and the stuff that was inside. It may or may not react to try and stop you. So do you do that?
I would like to do that and then flee back to the Stasemobile, or at least in that general direction.
All right.
I clamp a rope onto your heart as you go past.
Are you stopping me or just?
No. I'm getting ready to haul you back with my mainspring.
Okay, cool. Oh, I do actually have a. This is actually probably an appropriate time to use a cipher. I've got a repulsion field, which I'd like to turn on. It emits a field around me for 1 minute. Whenever I take any damage from a weapon or an arrow or a blow of some sort, I emit a pulse of energy which damages a target or anything within immediate range, and then pushes me immediately away from the damage by, well, it says an immediate distance. I'm not sure if that's like 5-10 feet. But I'm thinking if I get attacked, it'll be enough to knock me away from anything too serious.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you can. I won't make you roll for that. So you can just activate that.
Yeah.
You have Nye's kind of rope belay attached to you, and you venture in towards this thing as it starts to kind of form up. Give me a. So it doesn't immediately kind of react or seem to notice you as such. It's just kind of racked with the process of it being pulled together. But as you get closer, give me a speed defense difficulty 3.
Okay. For the record, are these items that dropped out, are they scrolls and ciphers, effectively? Cipher-like objects, let's say.
All right, so there was some scrolls, there was a object wrapped in a carpet, and there was a couple of corpses.
Right. Oh, okay, so it wasn't objects, just a one big object.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, that's fine. How many scrolls are we talking? I'm just trying to think in terms of...
like an armful.
Right, okay. All right, okay, let's roll. Speed defense, I'm trained in that. A point of effort, because I really don't want to be hit. Let's go.
Ooh, wow, nice. All right, so as you approach it, this thing, it still doesn't seem to be like, it's kind of approaching the status of some kind of creature, or at least some kind of golem or something like that, but it isn't really fully there yet. It seems to slowly and vaguely perceive your approach as you come close, and it reacts aggressively or defensively, I guess, and it kind of...
hold on, I'm hearing yells in the background. Give me just 1 second.
of the joys of family.
I'm gonna get yelled at.
Yeah, with regard to Little Spider, I reckon it's probably more probable that it's. I mean, he used to be sort of carried around by Minim everywhere. I think it's probably more probable at this point
I'm
that
back.
he
Sorry
kind
about
of
that. The
wanders
cat's
around.
A cat tried to climb up the area by jumping on it really hard and almost knocked everything over. And so ran to the other side and almost knocked everything the other way. And yeah.
Was that the cat that made the noise?
No, that was my wife.
Oh, okay.
No, while trying to stop it from knocking it over in every single direction. Yeah.
All right, so we were in the middle of this attack.
Yes.
So basically, this thing, like, rather clumsily and haphazardly swings a kind of coffin-top, like, arm or leg, as it were, in your direction. It smashes onto the sand, but with your canny speed and enhanced, chemically enhanced perception, you're able to nimbly dart out of the way, as you are used to fighting enemies that are much bigger than yourself and coming out on top. In fact, you're able to do a cool Feyan roll over the sand and to the stuff that fell out of one of the coffins before. So you can, basically I'm going to say as your major effect, you can grab at least a couple of scrolls, just the ones that are closest to hand, and then you can either grab an armful of scrolls or you can grab the larger carpet-wrapped object.
Is the carpet positioned in such a way that I could kick it and it will unroll, and I can see what's contained within it while collecting other scrolls potentially?
You try that, but it seems to be stuck together somehow.
Okay. Well, I don't know how useful these scrolls are. We could get all of them, but I'm intrigued what was in the carpet, so I will grab that as well as the few scrolls I've got.
It's pretty heavy, and well, I mean, again, it's somewhat like carrying a sack of potatoes, except rather goopy and somewhat unsettling.
I've done that before. It is not fun.
You pick it
What
up.
do you
and
do?
I left a bag of potatoes above the oven, and I was a student. And yeah, it turns out they get quite goopy when exposed to that sort of thing for a long period of time.
Well, in any case, you're able to rescue this thing and dart back out of the way as it goes basically stumbling back, kind of back into the depth of the graveyard. And in fact, it kind of seems like it's trying to rear itself up and drag more of these gravestones up out of the ground, but actually it topples over and basically collapses. And some of the pieces of it kind of judder across the sand, but it doesn't seem to be able to pull itself together in the same way. However, a lot of the nearby sarcophaguses are now starting to kind of rattle and judder and shake themselves into motion as well. So clearly something is going on here. As you run back to the Stationmobile and try and unwrap the carpet, you are able to do so. And what is within is rather unpleasant. It's not immediately identifiable as some kind of remains, but it's basically, how to describe it? It's kind of like maybe a very old and rotten jellyfish or something, and you kind of get the impression that this is some kind of probably non-human creature that has kind of decomposed a great deal. But as you look inside it, you're able to see kind of marbling and swirls of kind of iridescent, oil-like kind of colors throughout this thing, and you're able to see the kind of, I guess, half-dissolved remains of some kind of structures that were within this thing at some point. Other than that, a lot of it is just kind of soaked into the carpet and made it sticky and glue-like.
Okay. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to do with this. I'll tell you what, I'll do my usual trick because it's working so well so far. I will lean close to it and lift the flowers up to my ears. Can it still speak like the other corpses could?
You bend over it with the flowers to your ears, and what you actually notice is that suddenly your ears are, or your ear is licked by flames that suddenly erupt over the flowers and things, along with a thick, acrid smoke. You're able to draw them back enough that only a few of them are actually ruined, but that is the reaction that you got from that, and you didn't get any. You didn't get any particular sound from them. You could still hear the general screams and stuff from the background, but not anything from that.
So these things somehow, my ears burst. I mean, maybe I'm highly irradiated, but I wouldn't know that in case. So basically, I lift these things up to my ears, and the flowers just spontaneously burst into flames.
Yeah, although it's not exactly normal fire that you would just get from heat, and in fact, you didn't feel any particular heat, coming off this thing, such that it would just, ignite them. It was more like a chemical reaction, kind of like if you, I don't know, put some sodium in water or something like that, although milder than that because it didn't burn your ear off. But yeah, it had some kind of weird chemical reaction. In fact, as you got closer to this weird goopy thing, you could smell a very strong scent of basically like chlorine or kind of bleach, something like that.
Okay. Wow. Now I'm doubly confused about what to do with these things. It damages some precious flowers, and it potentially explosive. I'll see the other guy say, "What the hell is this thing?"
It is not.
I climbed stuff.
Yeah. Let's say Minim, give me a roll to see if you can identify this thing. So I guess this is. Actually, I'm going to say this is level 5 to identify, but obviously Numenera or whatever training applies.
Aye.
Yay.
Nice. All right. So what you're able to find out is that this is indeed the decomposed remains of a creature that you find yourself strangely familiar with. They are sentient, but let's see. I guess you could say rather low order, semi-phasic beings that you can think of biologically as being kind of similar to barnacles, except what they do is they basically they instantiate a physical form that I guess looks a bit like the barnacles from Half-Life 2 or something along those lines, that just kind of rest in an area near people and siphon off bad thoughts from them. And they are known to have I guess you'd say like a symbiotic relationship with certain species or communities who breed them in order to increase the general well-being in an area, while feeding them. Well, yeah, I guess that just covers it. They feed off the negative emotions in an area, and in return, everyone feels better. But they are sentient, and they in fact have a highly advanced kind of knowledge and kind of philosophy and sociology and that kind of thing. So basically, you also recognize that this thing was somehow, like, this isn't simply that this thing decomposed. This thing was killed by being somehow liquidated or melted.
So we need another one.
Yeah, we need like a fresh one.
You get the impression that there is not much in this graveyard that is fresh. So while you are examining this thing, basically the graveyard is continuing to essentially come alive as your presence there, arouses the attention of whatever presence it is that is haunting this place, whether it's the Ordwolf or something else. And the clouds are gathering and a storm seems to be brewing to match the foreboding atmosphere. What is your immediate reaction to all this?
Is this all of us, sorry, or just...
Sure, yeah, kind of as a group.
I'm just very weirded out and confused right now.
True. I mean, I wonder if we should make a run for it, get back to the forest, and see if the plant dudes can tell us anything more about this weird barnacle-y creature. I don't know, though.
Is there anyone who is particularly wanting to stay and, I guess, face the events that are occurring in front of you?
Nope. You're talking about the giant thing putting itself together.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to be
No.
clear, this thing was kind of pulling it together, but it wasn't like it was just kind of an isolated incident of a few of them seeming to get agitated enough that they, pushed themselves together and started kind of acting as one. You didn't, as such, get the impression that. Actually, no. Sorry, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it there. Actually, you've seen what you've seen.
So, sorry, you said it like assembles itself in like 10 seconds. Does that mean that by the time, well, probably before we even get into the Statemobile, we have a giant Ordwolf?
No, sorry, that's what I mean. So this was just like a few of the sarcophaguses kind of smashing themselves together in reaction to Bean poking one of them.
Okay.
And you don't yet see any obvious evidence of this translating into an Ordwolf being built.
Okay, right.
At least not at this stage. But they are clearly stirred up and agitated around you, and it is a very spooky sensation to be in such a dead, desolate place, but to be faced with this horde of inscrutable entities that are reacting in this way.
What sort of form did they take? Is it just like some sort of
it didn't.
Indistinct collection of?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't. It happened so quickly, and it was so kind of rushed and panicked, as it were. That's kind of how it came across. It didn't really adopt any particular useful form. It just kind of tried to drag itself together to make itself more powerful for a moment, but then simply just collapsed and fell apart because it tried to do it too quickly. At least in as far as it could be called an it. Like, it's unclear if, it's just some kind of force that is manipulating all of the objects in this whole area, which may also be responsible for the Ordwolf. Guess, let's have, Minim and maybe Fayan, if you feel you're drugged up enough, I guess, to basically see if you can sense anything about any kind of organizing principle or force that might be acting in this area.
I think I will
So we
need
see
some
the patterns.
extra assistance for this.
Yeah.
And so I shall sample one of Russell's
Yes, there's a
leavings.
particularly succulent-looking flower bud that seems to catch your attention.
Yum, yum.
It tastes like flowers, but you get there's a.
I'm sure I've got something palatable to take it with.
Yes.
I'm used to tasting worse, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a bittersweet aftertaste to it that to you denotes a potentially interesting effect. And let's see. So basically, okay. So yeah. Sorry, Minim, did you just roll to do that perception, or was
No.
it
Oh, right. Okay. I don't know what the difficulty is.
So let's say this is going to be difficulty 5.
Right.
Numenera would count, and I guess you can be at least trained. Actually, no, I'm going to say you can be specialized in this vein because of the drug that you just took.
Okay, difficulty 5. Right. I'll put a point of intellect in because that's what I do. Let's see how it goes. Not bad.
All right, so Fayan, you are able to. So for you, it is a rather vague kind of feeling, but you do indeed sense a much greater will, if you could even call it that, that seems to be inhabiting this place and seems to be responsible for the events that are occurring just in front of you. It's unclear exactly what its nature is. It doesn't exactly seem friendly, or it doesn't seem like it could be friendly. It is inherently it's inherently oppositional force, I guess you might say. That primarily the sense you get is that you are trespassing on its territory.
I'd
Minim,
just like
you
to
are...
remind you, I don't know if this is relevant, but Minim does have the spook phones, which have always seemed to me, and I don't know if this is what they are,
Yeah.
but they've always seemed to me like perhaps they were. You know how you can, if you don't tune a radio properly, you can start
Yeah.
picking up different stations and it's not coming through properly, and so it all sounds garbled and nasty. And so I thought maybe they were possibly actually picking up on signals. And
Yeah,
given that this
that
is
would
all
make sense.
radiation and maybe there's radio waves or something, perhaps you can use those to discern some sort of governing, I don't know, pattern or
Yeah,
something.
definitely. Yeah, for sure. So using your spook phones almost as like a kind of sonar or radar, I'm imagining him kind of swiveling his head left and right very attentively, or maybe tilting it side to side like a dog. But in any, to try and get a differential picture of how all of these sounds and signals are approaching him. In any case, both, I guess, a combination of that augmenting his natural senses for this kind of thing. Not only are you able to pick up the intense sense of presence and will and kind of guardian intent in this area, you're actually specifically able to pick up so many of the signals or voices that are emerging from the sarcophaguses around you, that you're able to kind of interpolate them into, as you say, a kind of overarching pattern, which, as you focus and kind of refocus your attention, suddenly and rather perhaps even to you terrifyingly, coalesces into an image of a, not really embodied in like a specific face or anything, but just a kind of image of a terrible will that has been bound to this place and that is part of this place and emerges from this place. But which has a specific intent and will, which is to ensure that not only does nobody ever come here and disturb it, but that no knowledge of the kind of anything contained within it should ever escape.
Is there any way of discerning where this consciousness is originating from? Like maybe...
Yes, underground.
Okay.
Is there only one consciousness of this sort of strength that we can detect?
Essentially, but it's more that it's a kind of conglomerate consciousness.
Conglomerate consciousness, okay.
Oh boy.
So,
Could it be something to do with these barnacles, like because of the badness they've absorbed?
Actually, Fayan, I mentioned that you were able to, besides the sack thing, you didn't take all of the scrolls, but you just stuffed a couple into your
oh
outfit.
yeah. Yeah, I took some. Oh, jeez, I took some of the knowledge of this place with me that they don't want to escape.
Well,
I'm paranoid because probably that's it with drugs. I'm going to try and read it out of sight of the jellyfish thing.
yeah, just ducking behind the back of the station mobile, I
Are we
guess.
actually inside the station mobile at the moment?
Up to you. I mean, I think you retreated to it, so you could be outside or inside.
Well, unless we're having to, this thing's putting itself together and we're going to run away from it, we'll do it outside for now. Does that make
All
sense
right.
to everyone else?
Yeah, sure. So again, so you unscroll these scrolls and try your best to interpret them. Again, you're not able to do it in a specific fashion, but you are able to get the impression that this is basically again, kind of like you saw before, kind of a charter of crimes, and this one speaks of the what are these things called? Hold on one sec. Let's say that the barnacles, for no particular reason, are called baliknas, and there is a mention of a balikna firestorm in sector blah blah blah, and a big report that seems to detail arson and murderous intent. So it seems somebody burned a whole bunch of baliknas, and that may have something to do with them ending up here.
Wait, so somebody burnt the Beleknas, not the Beleknas burnt some people.
Difficult to say.
Right. So is
But
this guy? I'm
but
trying to
you'll-
figure out if this guy seemed like the victim or the criminal who's being locked up.
Yeah,
Also
so
difficult to say.
the creatures would be buried.
Well,
Yeah,
when
I
I
mean,
got close to him, things burst into flames. So arson maybe goes together.
True.
Seems a bit okay. I'm not happy I brought this guy with us. I'm a bit worried he may.
He's going
I
to go
don't- I
Metroid
don't-
on you.
Yeah, I don't want to put him on the Statesmobile.
I'm
Maybe
going to
we
say
can, like-
that Minim's getting antsy at this point and is just kind of like saying, "We need to go.
Yeah, can I like
We need
roll
a
the
plan."
carpet back up? And I mean, assuming nobody wants to keep this guy, and we just like push him back towards the. Thing. What was the other What did the other scroll say, by the way? Because there were 3 bodies in that one chest, was it? 'Cause that was a lot of bodies for one sarcophagus. Everything else has only had one.
Yes, but because you left the rest of the scrolls behind, you are none the wiser as to their story.
Oh, were the 2 scrolls kind of connected, or was it?
Yeah, they both basically relate to this kind of crime that I mentioned.
Okay, fair enough.
So basically, this is all the information that you are able to get about this particular sarcophagus.
Right, I will put the scrolls. Well, roll up the carpet. Put the things on the. Is it actually a carpet? Oh, I don't really say things.
Yeah,
Any questions?
it's basically like a rug or a carpet. It is. I mean, one thing you will have noticed from the stuff that has fallen out of these sarcophaguses and things, it's not all like I don't know, ritual, formal burial items like you would find present in a funeral or anything like that. It's almost more like debris and detritus and dangerous items and things like that all needed to be disposed of in
Okay.
this place.
I will. Yeah, I'm gonna roll up the carpet, grab the scrolls, move towards the gravestones, and the moment anything happens, like something seems to come up, I'm just gonna chuck the things on the ground and run back to the Statesmobile.
All right,
I don't want these things anywhere near us.
before you get very close at all,
Yeah.
the sand off to your front and right erupts with another one of these sarcophaguses jutting up out of the ground.
Dropping it and running.
You drop it and run, and well, it just squelches onto the ground and is left behind you, slowly washed over by the dust. You are back at the Statesmobile. Are you going to drive the fuck out of here, or what?
Yeah, I think we need to leave this area and rethink what our plan's going to be before. I mean, how much time's passed so far?
Not that much. Let's say it's been like a couple of hours journey all told to get out here, and then you've been here for maybe, I don't know, half an hour.
Okay, maybe we should treat a fair distance and decide what our ultimate plan's going to be before we get too crazy.
All right. Do you go back like all the way to the jungle, or?
I'd say just far enough from here. I mean, it's a long way back to the jungle. So,
Yeah.
And that's a 4 hours round trip if we decide to come straight back again.
Yeah. So you all right. So you get several kilometers, or maybe 10 kilometers away, let's say.
Yeah, nice
so
safe distance.
Certainly far enough that you can't, you can no longer hear the commotion coming from the graveyard.
Okay, that feels safe. Right. Did everybody follow what the hell just happened there?
No.
Right.
It was weird.
Okay. Okay. And
Minim
those
very
voices I heard,
ominously.
you guys heard them too, right?
Minim very ominously imparts that there is something underground.
Is that going to be the same thing that was the odd beast, wolf? Because that was the only thing that we saw there, and I can't.
Says
I didn't
There's
see
a
or feel
mind
anything
underground.
else. There's a what? Sorry.
Yeah, I guess
mind.
one thing. So Minim,
Oh,
I think, wouldn't have been able to tell for sure whether that was, as it were, the voice of the Ordwolf, or if there is some separate presence, you might say, from which the Ordwolf came.
Yeah.
All he knows is that there's something quite scary underground.
Yeah,
So-
it definitely feels like the Ordwolf is not so much a creature as a extension of some other creature's will or something.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like. Oh, jeez. See that creature there that we found out. What you said, Minim. It sounded like it was some sort of. It just popped up to feed from the from whatever weird things are going on there. But then from what happened, Scrolls said it sounded like it was actually, possibly committed some sort of mass murder, arson, some sort of firestorm, it said, and killed everybody else, which is why it was locked up. So this does seem like a prison for the worst of the worst and some pretty horrendous artifacts. What are those items you've got there, by the way? You seem to take some things out of the coffin. Wait, did we just leave them on the floor?
Possibly. If no one else took them, then they're just still there.
Okay, well, I wouldn't have seen you pick up the jolter then, so
Yeah.
I'll just ask, what are those items you dropped outside the coffin? Did they seem like some sort of powerful weapons that could potentially destroy civilizations?
Minim sort of shrugs.
Because we need those.
The looking
Yeah,
looking up, the photonic smasher seems pretty great. Basically, you summon a truncheon that moves around with you and beats people up wherever you go.
That is not what I would have guessed from the name's Photonic Smasher.
Well, it's like a truncheon made of light.
See, I assumed it would have been like a large Hadron Collider, just in miniature form. Okay, so...
All right.
Right.
So we're kind of drawing to the end of the session. So I guess at this stage, just kind of formulate kind of your reaction and what your plan is to do next on how to proceed.
I am freaked out and I have absolutely no idea what to do next.
Yeah.
But
I mean, my
Minim-
feeling is that these barnacle things, right? They feed off negative emotions.
Bear in mind, you only found one of those, and if you, I guess you kind of get an intuition that that was essentially just one example, maybe a prominent example or something, or a symbol or a reminder or something like that of this great crime that happened. But that crime itself is just one of the, well, potentially millions that are recorded and condemned in this place.
I think it'll be worth, once we get back to the temple, sort of showing like or at least telling Russell about the dead jellyfish and the what we found. But also for Minim's part, it's not too difficult for him to go underground because phasing, and he's been holding on to a cipher since day one that that basically does what he does. It's sort of it's a phase changer. So you can do that to one person and potentially bring them also underground rather than doing it on his own. So possibly next session there could be potentially an element of the party doing two different things. Minim taking someone capable, so probably like Nye or Varix underground to try and, I don't know, maybe beat something up down there.
Fair enough.
Underground, overground, miniming free.
Always.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, but it sounds like your basic plan right now is to be kind of heading back to the temple type area.
Yeah, I think so. We need more info.
All right. As you turn the vehicle around and start piling your way across the open desert and back towards the jungle, you are beset with an oppressive feeling of ill intent emanating from the area behind you as you withdraw from it. That lingers even once you've reached the safety of the temple, just on the very edge of your nerves. With that, we end the session.
Done.
Out come a little devil, a dragging a chain. She picked up a hatchet, split out his brains, saying, "Fi, diddle-I, diddle-I, fi, diddle-I, diddle-I, day."